Okay. Let me just check a few things real quick and we'll get started. Let's see here. Okay. I'm live. Good. Fantastic. Buell is back. So naturally, I thought it would be a good thing to talk about it. This right here on screen is supposedly the brand new Buell Hammerhead 1190. I was particularly interested in this motorcycle because my last motorcycle was a Buell. It was a 1999 Buell X1 Lightning. Let's see if I can pull a picture of that. 1999 Buell X1 Lightning. Yeah, that's about it. Mine had the side fairings on. This is a pretty good rendition of mine. This was my last motorcycle. I had the steel wheels though. Here we go. This is a better picture. This is exactly what I had. I can get it to come in cleaner than that. See if we can get some. Man, there are not very many good pictures of it. Oh, it's not a bad bike. It was certainly dated. That X1 Lightning, damn thing nearly killed me a dozen times or so. No traction control, no ABS. It was just a big engine on wheels, big Harley engine. It was heavy as hell. But it was a fun bike. That Harley engine gave it a nice sound. By the time I got rid of it, man, that thing was leaking oil out of everything. It was leaking oil out of the lower shock, which is, maybe we can find a good picture. There's a shock here underneath the seats. Or, sorry, underneath... open image, a new tab. So it was leaking from the shock underneath the seats. That was messed up. It had some sort of Frankenstein to aftermarket part. It was all red. This was removed. This underneath here is the air intake. Mine was jerry-rigged on with like zip ties and shit. It was barely hanging in there. It was a piece of shit. This bike was total Frankenstein, but it worked. It was fun. It wasn't the prettiest bike, but it was a good bike. It was a fun bike. Definitely needed some love. I ended up selling it. I think last year I sold it finally. It wasn't running. It wasn't an accident on it. That bike was pretty sketch, but I enjoyed it. When it ran, it was a fun bike. It was a solid, fun bike. Buells were... until I had moved to where I am now, I had somehow never, ever heard of these bikes. Never in a million years had I heard of a Buell. It's a very strange name. To my surprise, the Buell was effectively a Harley sports bike. That blew me away. I didn't know Harley had sports bikes. So let's go into some of the history here before we get into it. In 1983, Buell Motorcycles was founded. The 1984 first Buell motorcycle that was built with the help of Eric Buell was the RW750. Let's see if we can find some footage of that RW750. Buell RW750. Let's see if there's anything out there. Oop, my headset's dying on me already. Oh, man. I'd be surprised if there's any footage of an RW750, and it turns out there does not appear to be any footage of that motorcycle. Interesting. From 1985 to 92, they ran race parts, doing consulting engineering for companies such as Schwinn and Yamaha. Surprise, surprise, I ended up at Yamaha. I'm on an MT-10 now. Eric built a range of street sport motorcycles using Harley-Davidson engines. The success of this led to Harley-Davidson purchasing, in 1993, a minority interest of Buell Motorcycles Company. In 1998, after 20,000 plus motorcycles had been manufactured since the start of Buell, Eric Buell sold Harley-Davidson 49% of Buell motorcycles. In 2002, the XB9R9 Firebolt was manufactured. I've seen several of those. They're a pretty cool looking bike. It had the first aluminum beam fuel-in frame chassis. In 2007, the 1125 was manufactured with a V-twin motor with liquid cooling, DOHC, and fuel injection. 2009, Buell won their first championship at AMA Daytona Sports. Beginning in 2010, Eric Buell Racing formed, first supplying race parts for Buell motorcycles. Then in 2011, into production with the 1190 RS factory super premium street/race bike. Now, this is the second time I'd ever heard anything from Buell, for me personally, because I believe 650 Ebe bought one of these. Which one did he have? 650 Ebe Buell. 1190 RX. First ride with Eric Buell. Did he really ride with Eric Buell? No way, he actually rode with this dude.
Okay, Eric, one of my subscribers asked,
oh my god, he actually did ride with Eric Buell.
Why are the rims different from the front and the rear wheel?
Interesting.
Well, they're different because they do different jobs the way they are.
So 2016 is when this was filmed?
Because we have
650 Ebe, so cool.
With an all-out top-end smackdown to see how the top-end power is, but low and mid-range power is absurd. The handling is precise. The sound of this bike, this might be the best sounding bike.
Interesting. So yeah, in 2014, EBR 1190 SX naked bike. They had a naked bike, which I did not know until I looked this up. 2016, EBR Motorcycles formed to continue its legacy for Eric Buell. I believe this was 2016, not long after Eve must have ridden with him. He must have passed away. The company has been gone and come back and been gone and come back a bajillion times. Their Black Lightning limited edition, they had created a dirt bike in 2020, and now in 2021, production has finally started again for more Buell motorcycles. About time. I've always been interested on and off in Buell motorcycles personally. A lot of people seem to like them, and they've had kind of an interesting history throughout the years. It's pretty crazy how far they've come and gone and just faded into and out of obscurity randomly. I don't know. Look at this though. This bike looks pretty damn good compared to the previous generations. There are some interesting features. This front rotor, for example, it appears that it's a single rotor instead of a dual front rotor. Buell Hammerhead. From what I can see, I mean, who knows? This could just be pre-production, but I'm not seeing. Yeah, it's a single rotor up front, but it's a larger, bigger rotor for brakes. Very interesting. You can see there's nothing here. It's got a long dual chamber exhaust. I think they did the same thing, something similar to that on the new Fireblade SP. So overall, it's just not a bad looking bike. I love this shark fin. I love this shark fin design. I've missed that. This was big in 2014. BMW's had it. Ducati's starting to get it again. I like that shark fin look. Interesting, interesting. I don't think I'm in particular a fan of this headlight design. I'm not sure I'm too big of a fan of this front headlight. But it's alright, it's not the worst. The mirrors definitely could use a little updating. They look a little dated in design. Kind of like they pulled them off something older. It's not the worst. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot in terms of pictures out there though. Most of this looks like rendering. Who knows? I mean, it could be totally different. I like the look of this. Oh, where did it go? This dual exhaust, shorty exhaust, rather than this big clunky one. But I'm sure the road bike will be singular. Big silencer on there. Interesting. Buell's had just such a funny way of coming back from the grave over the years. This is a good looking bike though overall. I like the design. There's not a whole lot to see yet, but based on the pictures, I like the subframe here. That's cool. Gives you that nice view of that gorgeous monoshock. Can't tell from the pictures, but it looks like there's some weird stuff going on in the radiator area here. Interesting. She sure is she's a good looking beach. She's a good looking bike. I hope Buell makes a comeback. Let's go over some of the stats now. So it's an ET V2 72 degree V-twin liquid cooled, which is a V-twin. I don't know, it seems a bit dated. Bore and strokes there. Displacements, 1190 cc, 72.6 cubic inches. Compression ratio is 13 to 4 to 1. Fuel delivery, electronic fuel injection, 2 board injectors, 2 shower head injectors, primary plus secondary. Nice. Exhaust, primary plus secondary. Peak torque, 101.6 foot-pounds, 137.8 newton meters at 8,200 RPM. 101 pounds of torque is crazy. That's how much does the Yamaha R1 have? Good torque. How much torque does this? Yamaha R1 stats. Let's try that. Okay. I believe it's about 90. The 998. No, this is R6. Where does it have it? Where is it? Yeah. Bore stroke. Where's the good stuff? horsepower. Nothing useful. Nobody really cares about torque anymore. It's interesting though. 112 Newton meters, and the peak torque output of the Buell is 137.8. Why can't I find the torque setting, or torques of the torque output of an R1 and just actual torque? Well, at 11,500 RPM, an R1 has a. Let's try a Ducati V4. Let's see what they got. Torque. 91 foot-pounds of torque on a Ducati V4, and the Buell has 101.6. This is 83 foot-pounds at 11,500 RPM. That's its max output at the highest point, 83 foot-pounds. The Buell is supposedly putting out 101.6 foot-pounds at 8,200 RPM. Sweet Jesus, it's 185 horsepower. Okay, it's a little under. That's still 185 horsepower is nothing to fucking scoff at. That's crazy. That's absolutely craziness. 185 horsepower in this beast. The torque is the interesting aspect. Oh, V-twin. Gear driven. The last my Buell was belt driven. Hydraulic actuation, vacuum operated slipper clutch. Pretty standard ratios for the transmission. Seat height 32.5 inches. Not bad. It's average height. Wheel size average. Frame is aluminum with integral fuel reservoir. Optimized stiffness in the swing arm. Showa inverted big pistons and rear suspension. Showa. Single parameter rotor, 8-piston inside and out caliper on the front brake. 386 millimeter. That's that massive front brake, which is just, it's an interesting choice. I think the main takeaway from this is if you want to do braided lines or anything custom like that, you might have a difficult time. This isn't standard like everyone else, you know. Say what you want. It's interesting. Buell is back with the new 2022 Hammerhead 1190 in heritage colors or carbon fiber. Very nice. Very nice. I like this look. That looks good. I'm curious. This bike might blow people's minds. Ooh, carbon fiber. That looks good. Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. I like that carbon fiber. Right off their website. Looks good. Beautiful side profile. curious. This might be the coolest bike coming out, or it could be just a total flop. Buell's history has just been so back and forth that it's really hard to say whether or not this bike is going to take off. I want this company to succeed. I think Buell's had a lot of interesting ideas. One of the main interesting ideas that I didn't even know was a thing. Buell brake ducts. I'd never seen front brake ducts on a motorcycle until Buell did. I don't know if they were the first to do it. I had never seen this before. This, where basically it catches air, blows it into the brakes, blows out all the road grime, the grit, the dust, the dirt, keeps your brakes clean. I'd never seen that. I've seen, and after I had seen this first on a Buell, which happened to be on 650 Eve's channel, suddenly I'm seeing aftermarket brake duct like things popping up here and there. Yeah, look, EBR 1190RX. First time I'd ever seen that. Buell has interesting ideas. I think they've always had interesting ideas. I think if Harley hadn't been fucking around and taken the time to take Buell seriously, Harley might legitimately be one of the top bikes out there. Look at Harley's lineup now. Some lineup 2022. See the 2022 lineup. What are we looking at here? So I got the Sportster, totally redesigned Sportsters. These are all pretty standard. Fat Bob's been redesigned. All standard Harley stuff for the most part, right? And then you start getting down here. Now Harley's getting into adventure touring. Why do you think they're doing that? It's not because they wanted to, it's because they're losing fucking people. Nobody wants to buy these overpriced standard bikes. I mean, they're nice bikes, but Harley is falling behind. Now they're getting into adventure bikes. They're taking on BMW with the R1200 GS Adventure. They got the Harley electric bike, which was mind-blowing. Harley's, if they had stuck with it with Buell, pushed these bikes further, and worked closely with Buell, Harley might legitimately be on top of the goddamn world. But they screwed around. They let Buell disappear. And I mean, look at these bikes. For the time, I mean, they're not so good looking now, but these bikes were pretty stylish for the year. Let's see, Buell motorcycles. They also had a lot of things that I didn't particularly like. Some of their designs were kind of ugly. Where's this one? I don't even know what model it is. There was one particular Buell I seen in person. I took one look at it and I was like, what the hell is this? Here it is. This bike. I don't even... We'll see if we can take a look at this footage.
Buell's actually ended.
Ugh.
Big part of the reason why they ended was in 2008. They realized, you know, the motorcycle industry was having a really tough time. Harley Davidson was having a tough time. Everyone. That was really when it really dropped down. It was at its peak, and then it just, you know, went in half, even more than that. It really dropped down. It was tough time for everybody. So Harley decided to drop Buell. But some of the cool, unique things about Buell is they always had really tight wheelbases, very narrow, very nimble. Which
True.
I'm find out
My X1 Lightning felt
firsthand.
like that a lot.
The fuel tank. You see, this is not the fuel tank. The fuel tank is actually inside the frame, which is, you know, unique for a sport bike. And then apparently they would store the oil inside the swing arm.
Interesting.
An interesting fact about after, I mean, Eric Buell got a raw deal when this whole thing went down. He was left with nothing. He couldn't even have the name Buell.
This bike's ugly. I think this is one of the ugliest Buells they ever made.
And the last motorcycle that came off the Buell production line ended up in Barber Motorsports Park Museum. If you have not been to the museum, it's an amazing museum. It's beautiful out there. But really interesting side note is that when Eric Buell stopped, or when this whole thing was done, and Eric Buell had a lot of free time on his hands, he actually wrote a blues album. I looked it up. I thought it was a joke. I looked it up. It's Eric Buell and the Thunderbolts.
Get out of here. Eric Buell wrote a blues album? Eric Buell and the Thunderbolts. What? Eric Buell wrote... No. Not terrible. I can't play music, so I can't talk.
It's crazy. It's actually not that bad. So check it out. Let's take this thing for a spin. And feelings. And listen.
It's a shame that they went away from the Harley engine so much.
One of the coolest things about this bike.
But yeah. Oh, Buell's had some interesting design choices over the years. I mean, what in the heck are we looking at here? Sheesh. I don't know if these are custom made or people made them themselves. But Buell's, they come and go in terms of design. And the RX 1190s, I didn't dislike them. They were good looking bikes. The Hammerhead has clearly is reusing the RX 1190s and turning them into something new. I believe they had a lot of them laying around. So they're a fun bike. Pretty basic bikes. But they had potential. Again, with that single mono brake caliper. Interesting choice. Interesting choice. Buells have just had a rough go of it. And hopefully this newer bike will save them. Who knows? Alright, I'm going to end on one final video. Dude runs a red light. Alright. His friends run a red light.
I'm the only one to stop. Okay.
He gets pulled over. Poor guy. He gets totally screwed. Totally screwed. I'm curious to know if he got the ticket. Let's see. Did he get the ticket? Trying to help you if you are venting on here. I don't need any help for anything. Sheesh. Literally, blah, blah, blah. You'd rather get felony? I don't know. Who knows? I thought that video was interesting. Anyways, thanks for watching. Check out the new Buell. Let's maybe Buell will make a major comeback. Honestly, I'm a bit suspicious. But
Unusual one. Something new, yet somehow familiar.
it looks
Quirky,
good.
but
Overall, it looks good. Good looking bike. I want to be able to succeed, so maybe they'll get lucky.